I'm here with KPFT supporter, KPFT volunteer, KPFT activist, all that good stuff. Brother Rick Campbell in the studio. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing well, Alberto. Sounds like you're doing okay today.
Well, we try. But, I interviewed you on sort of an impromptu interview because you started to talk about you choosing Medicare over Medicare Advantage, right? Mm-hmm. And you went through all the reasons why in that interview, and I'll tag that interview with this when I post this blog. But just in getting coffee together, you said, oh, Alberto, I was in Colorado and I had to go to the doctor. Tell me that story.
Well, try to make it real short. I've been to Colorado many times. This was the first time in my life I ever got altitude sickness. Mm-hmm. I went to the emergency room. Just a little background. My oxygen percentage in my blood was 82, which is pretty low. Boy, they took me right in. They didn't ask a question. They said, do you have Medicare? What's your insurance? They didn't have to make any phone calls. Now, again, like we said before, I have regular Medicare, and I have a what do you call it? The gap, Medigap.
Right, the Medigap, mm-hmm. Yes.
So I do not have an Advantage plan. So I did not have to get approval from my insurance company to get treated. They got me right in, started working on me, and I really didn't require that much work. I mean, checked me out, see what was going on, right, why I was there. And I left that day. After a few hours, I had chest x-ray. I walked out of there with 3 bottles of oxygen, which I kept for a couple of days and brought them back. The whole thing cost me out of pocket $0. The amount that the emergency room or the hospital in Estes Park there billed the insurance company, or that they showed the price, that is, was $8,000 to $10,000. I'm not sure. Of course, Medicare didn't pay that much for it. They would have negotiated it down.
Right.
And then I got over that. The next week, I had a scheduled procedure, angiogram. Uh-huh. Another $8,000 to $10,000.
Oh my God! Walked
out.
Nothing. Right.
I did see a specialist while I was in there, and I had to pay him a couple of $100 for my deductible.
Right.
And that was it.
Now, let me see if I understand this right. This all happened in Colorado, right?
No, this happened in Colorado. I had 2 procedures scheduled in Houston when I got home.
Oh, when you got back.
The Colorado thing. Nothing to do with each other.
Right. Okay. So
this was an emergency. The Colorado was an emergency. The other was.
So scheduled. Your Colorado bill would have turned out to be around $10,000 if you didn't have Medicare, Medigap. Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason,
if I was uninsured.
If you're uninsured. Mm-hmm. The reason that I wanted to bring you on to talk about that specific issue is that the reason this was so easy for you in Colorado was because you had Standard Medicare.
That's right.
If you had Medicare Advantage, there would be so much trouble that you would have had to go through to actually to get care.
Exactly. And there's no telling where I might have ended up. I might have ended up down in Boulder or in Denver. In this case, I was a little further north. I was in Estes Park. I have a small medical facility there.
Right.
As far as I know, I don't know whether they got it approved or not. I don't know that it needed to be approved.
Right.
But there was never a question of approval that came up.
Because you had traditional Medicare. Standard Medicare.
And I've never been refused any medical care so far with the traditional Medicare and the Medigap.
Now, folks, the reason I really wanted Rick telling a real life story is because of all the other real life stories I've heard with people, Rick, that have Medicare Advantage. Mm-hmm. They would have to, they would be told, first of all, don't go to the emergency room, which I can understand for everybody, but go ahead and go to the whatever urgent care you can find. And you go to urgent care says, oh, no, we can't handle that. You got to go to the the emergency room. You have, there is, whenever for your own health care, now your oxygen level was at 81%. Brother, 82. That's 82%.
That's low.
That's low. Dangerous as hell. Your organs start to shut down when you have oxygen levels that low. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, it's interesting because, again, if he had to do a little bit of waiting and calling and all of that,
it would have just gone down.
It would have gone down some more. He could have injured himself, much more brain issues, kidney issues. My thing to you guys is, your life is worth too much for you to believe the crap that these Medicare Advantage folks are trying to tell you. You know what irked me? I saw a real well-respected, and they play this during the news hour on channel. This was on channel 13. They play it during the news hour. There is this former, I think he may still be a host, but I think he may,
I believe he's retired now.
He's retired now.
So it's not exactly a conflict of interest,
right. But he is associated as being a reputable news person at channel 13. And then I saw him promoting, and by the way, he was promoting Kelsey Siebel's Medicare Advantage, right? And look, Kelsey Siebel, before they became a private company who bought them out, I mean, I loved what they had to offer. They gave good service and all of that. Now they are into the for-profit domain, and they're really into Medicare Advantage. No, it wasn't him, but he's doing it too. Right. Just curious. Yeah. But, so, I mean, this one was our Latino brother. Okay. So, so they are now, Andrew, into making a whole bunch of profit. And I see this guy selling this thing, Rick.
Yep.
And my heart sank because I respect this particular host. I respect his ability to give us truthful news. Don't you think most of the people in Houston and surrounding areas, because it is him who's announcing, go ahead and get this Medicare Advantage plan, that somehow they're going to believe him that what he's saying is absolutely true without telling you the fine line? Andrew, your thoughts about that? Because it drove me insane, and not insane for me because I know better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is, I'm 24. I've grown up watching ABC 13.
Right.
This is a guy who I have grown up trusting.
Right.
And I don't know that it's smart to name him, unfortunately, but
I am not. You notice I didn't name him. Right.
Yeah. But if he's listening, he knows who he is. And and it is disappointing to see that somebody who has cultivated this kind of trustworthiness would turn around and use it to sell products.
He sold it.
I will say there is an element of is he in a position that he is that he doesn't have any other option? Is he in a position where maybe his retirement package wasn't as good as it needed to be, this sort of thing? Because it is very easy for personalities in media to build a following and then leave that world and find that there's nothing. There aren't as many opportunities as they were hoping there could be. So, it is easy for people, even people like this newscaster, to get trapped in these situations because of capitalism.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to think about, is this ethical? And I don't know.
Andrew, let me tell you, I am not any newscaster like this guy, but I have several thousand database of people, several thousand database of all, and I don't care how much you pay me, right? And by the way, I could use some money right now. I'm just telling you, I could use some money right now, but I will not leverage those people that form a part of my loyal following, my database, etc., to go ahead and snow them into something that is deleterious. I couldn't do it and sleep at night. You know what I mean, Rick?
Absolutely. I'm agreeing with you. I think when you build up the trust as a journalist or a commentator, that you do kind of cross a line, even though you may need the money.
Right.
You're still dragging people that trust you into what you're talking about. And maybe that's good for the company you're representing, but that's not good for your public.
Right. That's what they're buying, right? They're buying access to they're saying, I want to use all those people that trust you and transfer your trust to have them go with us.
Buying credibility.
Right. And I think it's a lousy thing. Anyway, we are coming close to the end of the program. So let me ask you to give a closer on Medicare. Tell our folks why they must continue Medicare and forget about Medicare Advantage no matter what people are telling them.
Well, all I can tell you, Edberto, is it works for me.
Right.
I don't know if it'll work for anybody else, but I've been very happy with it. I have not had any of the problems I hear other people have with Medicare Advantage. So, all I can say, I can't tell you what to do because I think I'm putting my credibility on the line, but I can tell you what works for me.
Right.
And I would stand by that all day long.
Thank you so kindly, Rick Campbell, for telling us the rest of your story. Now, let me tell you, folks, this is important, right? And Rick just said something that I have to be cognizant of, and that is specifically this. He says this is what has worked for him. We've given you all the technical information as to why, if you have the wherewithal to go with standard Medicare, that is what you should do. There are some people that they have to take Medicare Advantage just because as bad as it is, as restricted as it is, that's the only choice that they have. As restricted as it is, that's the only choice that they have. So what I'm trying to tell all of you folks is, for those of you who have the wherewithal, do not be snowed by saving a few extra bucks a month. We're talking about your health. We're talking about your well-being. Don't allow the corporate state to change that. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.